Hi guys, this is Wilber and welcome. And I want to show you this really cool magic trick. Alright, now I don't have a helper, so I'm going to use this little box here. It's going to help me out to hold the card in its hand, per se. So for this trick, I use a 4 of diamonds. My favorite card, believe it or not. Now, you, Mr. Box Helper, actually, since you don't have any fingers, can you just... There you go. Don't let go of that card, no matter what I try to do. Keep your finger on top of there. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my thieving queen. You see, yes, she is. She's quite the master thief. Look. I'm going to attempt to rob. Did. She's done. Did you see it? What did she steal? Well, she stole the card. I know. Unbelievable, isn't it? Stay tuned if you want to learn how to do it. So we're going to learn a really cool magic trick. Now this isn't a type of magic trick you're going to learn from like a magic kit, you know, some random YouTube channel. We're going to learn a really good effect that's going to startle and pizzazz and amaze your audience, okay? Now for this trick to be as strong as it was, you're going to need a duplicate. And the trick that we're talking about is actually called a transposition, okay? Now there's different ways to do it. Some ways you don't need a duplicate, but in this case, I think it's a little bit more visual. So you're going to need an extra card from an extra deck, okay? If you're going to do some magic, you better invest in decks of cards. If you don't want to do that, you can always use the jokers. Okay, every deck comes with 2 jokers. They're not always identical, but even in this case, I guarantee you they're not going to know that you're using the red and black one. Nobody will tell the difference. Okay? That's the props, I should say, required for this. But we're going to learn 2 sleights. Okay, so you're going to learn some sleight of hand for this to work. A prerequisite for these sleights, you got to know how to hold the deck. Alright? So this is the standard dealing grip. So if you're dealing cards, most often than not, you're going to hold the deck like this. Take a good look. Next, we're going to incorporate a finger break, and more specifically, a pinky break. What's a break? A break is when the fleshy part of your finger, okay, not the whole finger, because if you do that, well, that's going to look kind of redonkulous. You don't want that. You just want, like, it's very minuscule. You just want to be able to feel the 2 halves, in this case, because my break's in the middle. Okay, you just want to be able to feel the separation, and I'm just putting my flesh. I can show you there from the side. Hopefully you can see that there. Okay, but we're not doing it from the middle. We're just going to do it near the top, okay? So we're just going to have a break under 2 cards at the top. Super easy. So we're going to need a break, and we're going to use another sleight, called a double lift. Okay, what's a double lift? A double lift is quite simply lifting 2 cards as one, okay? And there's honestly hundreds of ways to do this. Okay, right now I'm manipulating the card by holding it by the edges to give the illusion of 1 card, okay? As soon as you slip, then the jig is up, okay? So you gotta be very careful and not play around with it too much. But in our case, we're just doing a very basic double lift. You show the card. It looks like this is the jack. Okay, and then boom, look at that. I did a transformation. So that's called a double lift, and I'm going to go into detail on how to go about doing that, okay, and how to hold it. So to get the lift working, I like to have a break prior. So as I'm talking about, you know, can I see your hand? I'm sliding 2 cards to the right. As I'm saying, hey, can I see your hand? Or hello, my name is Wilber, what is your name? And I'm just sliding them off with my thumb. And then I'm going to get my pinky finger to just wiggle right in there to get a break below the 2 cards. Why do I want that break? So it's really easy to lift up my cards, okay? And that is how I get my finger break. That's how you can turn over your double, okay? You want to be careful when you're turning it over you try to hit the edge of your fingers here, this is going to keep the card aligned as you turn it over, okay? Now, you want to be careful because if you turn it over flat, you're going to have a hard time turning it back because you have no break, right? You're going to have a hard time turning those two back face down unless you know your own methods of doing that, which there are, to procure a break. So what we're going to do is when you turn it over, you're going to out jog it, okay? What's an out jog? It's sticking out. So you can pinch it like this. You can do it from below. Okay? Or if you want, you can, as you turn it over, procure your pinky underneath those two. Okay, the next important thing after doing the double lift is it's really important to deal the top card onto the table immediately, right away, in like one smooth action. So like this. Shoulder jack, and boom. What this is creating is a continuous motion. It's their gaze is going to follow that jack. It's going to flip over, and now the jack is here. Okay, it's really hard for them to think, hey, wait a minute, you did something fishy, because you didn't. You turned over a card and you put it on the table. So that's the two moves we will incorporate for this trick. What's my setup? Easy. Take your duplicate and stick any card between them. Doesn't matter. Let's do an 8. I like the 8. It's a nice little contrast. Okay, so that's your setup. You're going to do your duplicate, random card, and your duplicate. Okay, a little sandwich. You're going to flip those on top of the deck, and you begin the trick by saying, oh, hello, my name is Wilber. Hey, can I see your hand for a second? In this case, I used the box. As you can see, as I'm flaking the box, I was already getting in preparation for my double lift here, okay? So I say, look, I'm going to need your hand for this. I want you to, this is my lucky card. You see, that's the 8 of hearts. I'm going to put it right underneath here. I want you to keep your finger on it and don't move it, whatever you do. And as you see again, as I'm talking, and once again, I'm doing my double lift, okay? So I want you to keep your finger in there because now I'm going to use my very special thieving queen, I call it. And I'm just kind of making this up as I go. And this queen is going to help me do the magic trick. Okay, did you see what happened? I did my double lift, showing the queen of spades, turning it over right into my finger. They think this is the queen, and they think that's the 8, but nope. One little tap and say, wait a minute, did you lift your finger? Let me see. Unbelievable. So let's go over that again. Okay, the card is sandwiched in between the duplicates. Ask for their hand for you to do your double lift. And you say, look, I have this 8 here, and I'm going to stick it underneath. Okay, now don't lift your hand no matter what you do. And for this trick, oh, sorry about that. I did a triple lift. For this trick to work, we're going to use the queen, okay? Now this queen's going to help me do the trick. 1, 2, I hope the heck this works. Okay, and that is your basic transposition. Hello, and welcome to Wilber's Tips and Tricks and Advice. This is just a little section I want to add to the end of the videos to help us, or to help you, overcome the nerves when you first start doing magic. Even myself, I get nervous all the time. And it just really means you care, okay? So it's normal to feel a little bit of anxiety or nervousness. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? So the moves we discussed earlier were the double lifts, okay? So what I recommend, how to practice this move, basically the way I did it, I still do it. When I'm watching TV, I sit there, I lift 2, and I put them on the bottom. I go to the next set, I lift 2, and I put them on the bottom. Okay? Those 2, and put them on the bottom. And that's all I do for my practice, okay? They don't have to be perfect, but that's what I do to practice the doubles. Alright? There's just some maybe helpful sort of little tips for you to rehearse your sleights, because you know, if you want your trick to look real nice, you gotta practice those sleights. Okay, so that would be a cool way to practice your doubles, and play around with them. I might revisit this move because honestly, there's like hundreds of ways for this to do double lifts. Okay, there's sort of flourishy ways. I mean, I don't want to get into the in-depths, but yes, there's many ways to do double lifts, but I showed you guys just like a basic double lift for you to practice. Okay, another thing that I did talk about briefly was the continuous action of the double. Okay, this is used quite a lot in Magic because it's such a powerful illusion of that continuous motion of the card being turned over and dealt onto the table. Okay, even when my Magic buddies are doing it, it fools me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot that was a double. I can't believe it. So it's a very powerful tool to practice. Okay, that could be another thing if you wanted to do. Just keep doing doubles and dealing the top card on the table. So definitely don't forget about that bit that I talked about. Make sure whenever you do the double and you're going to use the table for it, deal it right onto the table, or put it in their hands, or hold it. Or hold it in your hand. You know, maybe you want to put it in your pocket or somewhere else. Okay? Another tip is watch your angles. Okay, so I know that the camera, obviously it's a lot easier to control because the camera is stationary. But you should be looking at people's eyes and their gaze and try to picture where they're looking. So since I'm using the camera, I'm pointing sort of the corner of the deck towards the camera, because my pinky then will be pretty much invisible. Okay, so if I'm going to do moves, I always take the angles into consideration. Now the trick we discussed you should be able to do this surrounded, okay? Because really the only angle when you're performing, if my pinky's here, there would literally have to be like a little 5-year-old boy, little kid just standing like in between your arms. He's the only one who's gonna see that. Okay. And for the actual delivery of the transposition, sorry, I kind of lost the queen. There it is. Alright, let's just use the 8 again. Okay. So one thing that really enhances the trick is, so in this case, they think they have the 8. Calling that an 8 a couple of times will further enhance the illusion that that's an 8. Now, obviously, that's not an 8 because that's a queen. But if you say, I want you to put your finger on that 8 and don't let go of the 8 no matter how hard I try and misdirect you, okay? And you say, Susie, what you got your finger on? The 8. Excellent. Don't forget the 8. All right? I repeated the name of the card a bunch of times to imprint it on their head, that is the 8. Same with the other card. You say, look, I'm going to use the queen here, the Queen of Spades. And this Queen of Spades is going to do a fantastic trick. Watch the Queen of Spades. And just that verbal misdirection makes this moment really pop. Okay? And as soon as you do this, watch how I go slow. I say, look, did you see it happen? And you pause. You pause a little bit because their brains are trying to catch up, like what just happened. Okay, so let it register. Now that you've paused a few seconds at this point, that's when you can ask the spectators, wait, didn't I give you the 8? And when they turn it over, this is where you pause again and let everybody see what happened. Wait for your applause, or sometimes they won't applaud, but they'll scream or they'll be really excited. Okay. And I think that's all I wanted to cover, really. Practice the trick, practice the doubles, because that's really all it is. Double lifts, and the pinky break is, it's super easy, just sliding 2 cards over. Okay? So practice the double lift the most, because that's going to be one of the moves you're going to use so much in Magic. So it is definitely a good, it's really good to build that foundation early on. Anyways, thanks for watching.